Excited for the big show at the Soaring Eagle coming up here in just a couple of days. We've got 3 days grace back in town. They played the Soaring Eagle before, but this time headlining the outdoor amphitheater. And Barry Stock joining me here on Zoom this afternoon. Barry, what's going on?
Not much. Darien Lake tonight. Gonna rock a show. Got some Canadian friends coming down. Should be good.
I was going to say, I mean, when you play shows that are near the homeland, the home country, I imagine that the Canadians come out in full force.
Oh yeah, there'll be a bunch of family and friends and people coming down in their RVs and partying.
Does that make it a little more interesting for you guys when you have a packed house of friends and family coming down for these shows?
Yeah, I mean it makes it more exciting, when you get out on tour and you're gone for a while. It's always nice to see some family in between.
Yeah, you guys have been out for a minute after doing the Disturbed tour, and now on the road with Breaking Benjamin. I think 9 shows in at this point. We'll talk about the tour coming up, but let's talk about the album. Alienation has been out now for a few weeks. How did it feel to finally get this whole body of work out there into the world and give your fans the chance to hear everything that you guys have been working on for the past couple of years since this whole Adam's back in the band thing happened?
Yeah, it's amazing, because you work on a record for like we worked on since probably May of last year. And, we pretty much wrapped up in January and then we've kind of been sitting on it. So, we've been able to hear it obviously and had it all finished and we're excited about it, but had to wait till about August, to get by the time we got artwork and vinyls pressed and everything else, it takes a bit of time. So when you finally do get it out to the people, it's exciting because, you already know the record obviously really well and you can't wait for these guys to hear it, so it's pretty cool.
Of course, a lot of people were waiting to hear this album because this would be the first album that featured both Matt and Adam. Now, I've seen different interviews where you've said that you were the one that sort of planted the seed about, hey, what if? And then there's other interviews where Matt says, I called Brad and said, hey, what do you think if Adam comes back? Do you want to set the record straight right now, right here, and just
Yeah.
confirm that you were the guy that did it?
Well, I mean, really, Matt did have a lot to do with pioneering it, but I planted a seed in 2019. I just brought it up one day. I'm a little older than the other guys, so I grew up on Van Halen. And, I was a David Lee Roth fan. So when, Adam left, I knew that feeling because that was my Van Halen. Then Sammy came in and they had great success with Sammy. And then as a fan, as time went by, I would say to myself, man, wouldn't it be amazing as a fan if they both joined forces with Van Halen and did a whole sort of history of, Van Halen. So then all of a sudden in 19, we were out on tour with Breaking Benjamin again at that time. And I just brought it up in the dressing room one time. And I mentioned, hey, it just came to me one day. I was like, wait a minute, we're kind of in that position. Wouldn't it be cool if that was something we could pull off for the fans? And I just brought it up and nobody really said anything. I could see the wheels spinning, and then after that, we finished up the end of that tour that year. And then in 2020, the COVID happened and that kind of shut everyone down for a while. And then we made a record and, throughout 21, mostly over Zoom, and we figured out, how to make a record. And by the time we started touring that in 22, obviously that seed I planted, Matt came back and he was more pushed on it than everybody else. And he brought it up and kept telling everybody this would be a really great idea. So he kind of did pioneer the push of the whole idea. He thought, wow, that'd be great for the fans to do that. So in 22, we started talking about it again. Of course, we were out touring a new record cycle. And we thought, well, why don't we call Adam? He didn't even see. And, Brad probably was the closest where he's chatted with him a few times and stuff. And I think we were in England at the time. And I mentioned to Brad, why don't you give him a call and see if this is even something worth entertaining or if it was something maybe he'd be interested in. And he did call him and Adam was all in at that time. And, so since then we just kind of, we had to tour out that record cycle and we finished in the end of 23. And then we took the winter months off and then we all started talking about it that, hey, this is really something we want to do. So coming into 24, we got together and we got together at my place first. We thought, well, let's see if we can even sit in a room together and see what we can come up with. And they all came to my place and I live in Southern Indiana. Adam lives down near Nashville. So the other guys flew down and we all got together in my studio in, I think around May-ish, something like that. And it was amazing. It was like we'd been doing this all along. It was super cool. We all met quick, had a little quick chat and how you doing? And then, we started making music. And in that first week alone, we wrote Mayday and Apologies in that first time we got together. So it was pretty awesome. We knew then it was definitely meant to be and it was the right time. And so we just kept plowing forward. Yeah.
I was gonna ask if there was sort of like a trial period. I've heard you talk about everybody coming to Indiana, everybody coming to your place, and was there sort of a get to know Adam again scenario, or did you guys just was it all immediate like let's do this thing?
Yeah, it was really immediate. That's what's great about this record. I mean, it was like there was no uncomfortableness, not no trying to feel each other out, and it was just like we left off. We started right where we left off, and except now there's two singers, and those two jive together so well. I mean, they're both super talented, and there was never a weird thing of, one guy, I want to sing this and I want to sing that. They kind of just sort of naturally knew their parts with each other and collaborated so well together. And then when they couldn't figure it out, they were kind of doing rock, paper, scissors, on who would sing what. But it was just so natural. It just, like I said, we spent maybe 10, 15 minutes, getting to know each other again for 2 seconds. We never went back. We never worried about we're all at different times in our lives. We're all in a good place, in a better place. So it was super simple and it was super enjoyable to make this record. A lot of fun.
It's insane to think when you think of other bands that have had members come and go and lawyers get involved and how much it takes to get them to all come together. And here you are telling me two lead singers, neither of them have problems. There's no ego. It took 15 minutes and you guys were like right back at it.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Quite awesome.
You mentioned the two lead singer thing, and I know that you've talked about like songwriting wasn't very different, and you just mentioned that that when it came to who was going to sing what part, there wasn't like I want to sing this, I want to sing that. Was it as you're writing the songs? Did you guys sort of have an idea of this would work better for Matt, this would work better for Adam, or did you let them sort of feel it out themselves, or how did that all? How did it all work out where you guys decided he does this, or was it just sort of a natural thing?
It was really quite natural. Like, us as a band, we were like, I don't know, how's this going to work? Is he going to sing first verse and he sings second verse and blah, blah, blah. And we were thinking pretty simple. We didn't know, right? And then, but when they just started doing it, it just seemed that like the thing is they're both fantastic singers, but they have two quite different characters, So it's sort of, they just felt it out. It just naturally fell into place, maybe who should sing what. And then that aside, like by the time we got done, later in the record, we're 10, 11, 12 songs deep. And then we realized, Zach Cervini was producing it by then. We had him producing it, and Dan Lancaster helped produce a few songs with Zach. But we thought, man, the best thing for us to do is go back to what we've always done with both, for almost all the records, is go back to Howard Benson for the vocal production. So he was willing to come aboard and do the vocal production part of it. So, when it came time to actually singing the record, they both went to him and then sung. And then Howard's just brilliant with vocals, and he really knew how to fine tune who should sing what and how to, who's singing what harmonies to each guy and stuff. So he really honed it in the end.
I think it's interesting that the title track on the album was actually a song that you had written for the previous album and now is the title track for this album. Could you imagine that song any other way now that you have it, as the title track for the album, now that it's in the form that it's in? Could you imagine it any other way?
No, not really. Because the thing with that song, we did write it on the last record, when Adam wasn't there and it was written, but it didn't make the record, even though we all knew there was something really cool about that song that we liked. We liked the lyric, the melody. Music wise, we just thought it was a bit too alternative sounding for us, even though it was really cool, but we kept coming back to it and we go, man, but there's something here. And then, as we got in, maybe 8, 9 songs deep, you start, what songs will probably be on the record. And then you get to a point where we're like, well, what's missing? What are we missing on this record? And that's where that one came back up. And, and I brought up, well, we tend to do a shuffle vibe quite a bit, like Riot, Good Life. So what we always seem to come across at least per record a cool shuffly vibe. And so we thought, well, we started recording. Neil had this cool little karimba or whatever, and he was playing that little thumb vibe on it. And then Zach just put a mic to it and started recording. And then I just started playing that music like a shuffle vibe. I was like, well, let's do some kind of, sort of shuffle Riot vibe sort of thing. And as soon as we started doing that, Adam started singing the lyric and the melody of Alienation, because we'd already brought that up again. We brought that song up, what to do with it. And then he was like, well, and he started singing that over top of what we were doing on this new idea, and it just totally worked. And then we're like, bingo, right there you go. It was cool. So I'm glad that worked out that way.
Yeah, it's interesting to when you think about a song that you had written before any of this happened, and now it's the title track. It's the you guys all got to work together on it, and now it's this major part of this album that you guys created together.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we've done that quite a bit through history. There's always songs that, like World So Cold, that became a number one. And we wrote that during 1X. That's another example. And there's quite a few of them. But that was one where we had that song brew in 1X time, and it just didn't fit the record at the time. And then the next record, when we did Life Starts Now, that came back up. We're like, hey, get This World So Cold. It's a cool song. And we finished that, and that ended up being on the record, right? And it became a number one, which is really cool.
Alienation's been out now for a few weeks, and you guys have been out playing shows now for a while after doing the Disturbed tour. Now out with Breaking Ben again, and you'll headline the Soaring Eagle coming up on Friday. I'm curious, you had the chance to hear Matt sing Adam's songs for so long. What was it like the first time hearing Adam sing some of the songs you wrote specifically with Matt?
Oh, it's cool because I mean they're both great that way. I mean they each want to sing each other. Adam's a fan of what Matt did, and obviously Matt's a fan of everything Adam's done, obviously. And so it was pretty cool. So we were like, when we come back, we're like, well, who sings what? And obviously if we're doing an older, an Adam song, he would lead the way. But even then, he was like, well, you sing part of that. You sing this part, and then we'll harmonize together. So they do a lot of that in the show. And then Adam specifically wanted to sing some of the Matt stuff. He's a big fan of some of those songs we did with Matt too. So he was like, well, I want to sing some of those parts. So it's pretty cool when you see them live, how well they work together. They'll each do little bits of trade off. He might sing a verse of each other's songs and then harmonize together. It's pretty cool.
I know what it was like as a fan because I saw the Disturbed show. I saw you guys on stage together for the first time down in Detroit. Which, by the way, I appreciate you rocking the Red Wings hat. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but thank you. As a Michigander, I see the Red Wings hat. I appreciate that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I was a big fan actually. It was funny because we come from Toronto, obviously, and we grew up on the Leafs. So kind of by area code, we have to be Leafs fans. But I was always a big Red Wings fan. So
Love to
definitely.
hear it. It was cool to see you guys play Little Caesars Arena in one of the first shows on that Disturbed tour, and I know what the fan reaction was seeing Matt and Adam on stage for the first time together. Obviously, you're involved in it, you're a part of it, but those first shows when you're in front of those big Disturbed crowds, you're playing right before they go on to do the Down with the Sickness anniversary. What was it like for you as a member of the band to finally see this thing out in front of people?
It was amazing. I mean, that's why we did the Disturbed thing. Our whole goal was to be a headliner band and work to that and get ourselves to that position. And we figured it was going to be really cool. We had a feeling the fans were going to love it. And then Disturbed asked us about, we share the same management. They asked us, well, would you do the first start of the tour anyway? We didn't want to do the whole tour because we wanted to move from being a support. However, they're awesome guys, and it would have been a great crowd. So we really wanted to do that to get our feet wet and see. We knew it'd be a little shorter set, so what a great way to get our feet wet and get out there with both guys. And it went off, awesome. They their fans and everybody loved it, and so it was super cool.
Did it give you sort of like full circle vibes? Because obviously, with Matt being Brad's brother, he's been there the entire time, but
Yeah.
those two never had the chance to really come together. Did it feel like? I mean, you guys have been doing this for a long time. Did it feel like it was sort of a full circle moment for 3 Days Grace?
Yeah, I mean, completely. I mean, that's the cool thing about, when Adam left, that we had Matt come in because he's a family member. He's already been there. He's co-wrote songs on the first 3 Days Grace record. He's always been a part of it. Adam knew him since he was a little kid, right? And so it made it really easy as opposed to just being, some strange person that, it was just another family member. So he knew him well. So when we put everybody back in the same room, it was just supernatural, right? It was super easy.
Now that you guys know this works, and it sounds like you knew it would work almost immediately, you've got an album under your belt, you've got almost a year of tour dates. How excited are you for the future for 3 Days Grace and what's next? Now that you guys have been doing this for a minute with the two singers, having both guys there and everybody sort of being on board and being in this thing.
I'm super excited. I mean, everybody is. I mean, like I said, our goal was to get to where, we had some proving to do. Obviously, when Adam left and then Matt come in, it was like, that kind of hurt us a bit, and we had a lot of proving to do. Luckily, we had, we kept on the path of still writing hit songs and things, and we did quite well. And our goal with, with Adam coming back was to put ourselves in that headliner position again, right? Not being, the greatest support act, So, and that's worked. So, like I said, the way it's going this year, now we're on this co-bill with Benjamins, and they're awesome. We've done this for years back in the day, so we knew it would be a cool tour to do. But from this point on, after this tour, it's all headlining from here out. We've already went over the touring for next year and stuff. We got a big, almost fully sold out European tour, which is the biggest tour we've ever done over there. So that's at the end of this year, and then all next year's is going to be all headliner. So we're excited. We'll be able to play a longer show and bring in more new songs. So we're learning, we're at least going to play about half the record, so we're excited about that.
Where are you guys at with writing new music? Is this a situation where you guys are still cranking songs out while you're on the road, or did you sort of take a break from that?
Yeah, we've never really worked that way. We're not that good at that. We sort of focus on one thing at a time. Right now, it's making the show its best and meeting fans and, interviews and all that kind of thing and do that. We're best when we take a break. So that's what kind of always why we're sort of 3-year cycles between records. We'll tour a record almost 2 years, maybe 18 months, 2 years. And then we come off, take a break, everybody reset with family and take some time to ourselves. And then we just get right back at it and then write a new record. I mean, there's always little ideas brewing and things like that. Everybody's got little, but we found we work best because also we don't, no one person in this band brings in a whole song. That's not really how we've ever worked. We work in a room together and we hash out the songs in every way, musically, lyrically, melodies. We've always had our best result doing it that way. So we'll wait till everybody's clear-headed. Okay, let's get back at it, and then we just go from there and get in a room together and lock ourselves away from everybody else, and we go at it.
I mean, it's exciting as a fan hearing the album, hearing having Mayday drop, and Apologies is this massive song, and the whole record front to back is great. And obviously, the more time you guys get together, the more used to the situation you guys get, it's only going to get better. And I mean, you're going to keep doing exactly what you guys have done for so long, which is, I mean, it's incredible to have the longevity that you guys have had and the hits that you guys have had and the laundry list of accomplishments to see you guys still doing it, man. And it's awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we don't take that for granted. That's for sure. We've been very blessed, and we keep, man. We just keep working hard and keep hoping, people are loving it. And what's great now is like I'll look out into the crowd and I see what's really cool right now is how many young people I see in the crowd. Like, I mean, there's a great age variety, but again, it was like when we started. I see a lot of young people, and all age groups. But it's really great to see a lot of young people still into 3 Days Grace, or maybe they've recently in the last few years learned about it, right? And they love it. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, excited to see a packed house Friday night at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant. You guys doing the headline thing with the Michigan's Own I Prevail, which will be exciting as well. We're excited to see you back there, man. Last time you guys weren't the headliners for that show, but this time around you're bringing Adam along and you're headlining the Soaring Eagle, and we're excited to have you back. Barry, thank you so much, man. I know you got a show tonight, so I appreciate you taking a few minutes,
Yeah.
and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Cheers, buddy. See you soon.